Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 20 of What Cause Inspires You. I'm your host, Alicia Gupta, and today I have with me Arul Verma. I launched the What Cause Inspires You podcast as a way for students to share the service they're doing in their communities. We encourage youth like Arul, who are making a change to improve the world, to speak up about their stories and become a leader in the movement. Arul Verma is a rising senior at the King's Academy in Sunnyvale, California, and the CEO of United2Care, a high school public health nonprofit aimed at spreading the importance of hand sanitization. He was inspired to take part in this initiative to address a key underrepresented issue, which is prominent in many rural parts of the world. His goal is to make sure everyone knows the importance of sanitation to prevent the spread of infectious diseases and save thousands of lives. We are recording this presentation and will post the video on YouTube by Saturday and the audio on Spotify by Friday. Arul, it's super exciting to have you here today, especially since sanitation is such an important topic.
I know, right?
The whole COVID pandemic. So I'd love to hear what you have to say about it.
Yeah,
right.
I'm glad to be here.
First, yeah, let's just get right into it then. So what was the motivation behind starting United2Care, the nonprofit organization?
So being an Indian, a lot of rural communities in India don't teach proper hand sanitization awareness. And so there's a lot of high infection rates. And so in America, people don't think twice about washing their hands because it's like a habit here. But in rural communities around the world, not just in India, hand sanitization is just not talked about. So when we researched the importance of hand sanitation, we found it to be a big issue. And if we were able to raise awareness about this, then over 1 million lives could be saved per year for, children under the age of 5.
Wow, that's definitely super important and super relevant in today's society. I know you didn't mention rural areas, of course, but I think as the health guidelines start to come out, we realize more and more that we're not even washing our hands properly. So hand sanitization is something that we all need to be more educated, even as mundane of a topic as it is. So how did United2Care start?
So initially, we started it as a club in our school at King's Academy. So it started in 2017 with me and a couple of friends. We raised money through GoFundMe and school events and Carnival to support our hand washing projects. And with that money, we went to India and Kenya to raise awareness for hand washing as our first projects. And so this idea has spread for the past 2.5 years into a nonprofit. And so we saw the need to spread awareness about hand sanitation. And so that's how we started this initiative.
Wow, that's amazing. And obviously you guys have done your research about the need for more awareness around hand sanitization. But in terms of growing into that nonprofit, did you face any difficulties in gaining traction to spread your cause, whether it was your school receptiveness when you were trying to fundraise, or even when you reached out to India and Kenya to see how they would take your nonprofit idea and implement it? Did you see any difficulties in that respect?
Yeah, so initially we didn't have a lot of people part of our team. It was just me and 2-3 more friends. And so our school was like, oh, this is just for college apps, or this is just for a formality. So in that sense, we did face a little bit of backlash, but over a couple of months, when we showed how our projects are successful, we were able to get more traction in our school itself. And then as we reached out to the Indian government and the local communities of Kenya, they were also a little bit hesitant in the beginning, but they took a chance and they let us come over and distribute soap bars and sanitizer. And so in that way, it was a huge success after facing a couple of challenges along the way.
That's awesome. And how did you actually gain, I guess, the trust or the rapport with those other governments? And how did you gain that professionalism with them when reaching out?
So we actually showed our research and our analysis on the issue, and listening to that, I think they gained our trust, as in we know what we're talking about and we know what we're doing. So that really helped. Also, some local projects that we did here and there, those also helped in making it more professional.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think that just honestly goes to show that age is not a determining factor about how much impact someone can make. So, to all of our listeners, just another reminder, it does not matter how old you are to start making change and improving your society. But Arul, let's get back to United2Care and talk about those projects that you briefly mentioned in Kenya and India. Can you explain a little bit more about them?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we went to India and Kenya to launch a hand washing campaign in both countries. We distributed soap bars and gave lectures on why washing hands is so important and the consequences of not washing your hands, which is ultimately, it could result in death as well. So we partnered with the local government and the Jordan International Aid, which is a group that does aid for countries. And so through those projects, we were able to gain a lot of understanding that we didn't have before. And through that understanding, we were able to find more ways to help other communities besides those two areas.
Yeah, that's awesome. And research kind of, I guess, funds more research, right? So the more that you go out,
Yeah.
explore, the more understanding you have, the better rapport you have after all. But let's just screen share really briefly a few pictures from your visits, and maybe you can talk a little bit about them.
Yeah, so this is one classroom of a rural school in India in a village. And so this is where we did our campaign and we spoke and we helped them understand why they should wash their hands.
Awesome. And let's move on to the second picture in Kenya.
So this is the Kenya, it was like a youth group in the village or the community. And so we also distributed a lot of soap bars here and gave them tutorials on how to wash their hands and why it would help them.
That's amazing. And how did the kids, I guess, respond to these tutorials? Because most of your outreach has been with the youth population. So did you think that
Right.
they thought it was weird that hand washing was the topic that they were learning about, or were they excited? Just general reactions.
Well, these were mostly young kids between the age of 5 and 8. So they were already learning like manners and stuff like that. So they did think it was pretty funny that we would teach hand washing, but I think it was important for them to know that keeping yourself clean and not sticking dirty hands in your mouth would help the longevity as you grow older. And so they were having a lot of fun. I'm pretty sure they learned a lot, even though they didn't express it that way. But yeah, it was really fun.
It's those type of lessons that kind of just stick with you as you grow up, whether you know it or not. I know my mom always tells me, stop rubbing your eyes because you don't know the germs on your hand are going into your eyes. And I'm really bad with that. I always rub my eyes. But again, those really mundane things that we don't think of important
Yeah.
early on, we're starting to recognize more and more that we need to be healthier and we need to be safer. And I think that just brings us to the elephant in the room with COVID. Obviously, we realize now that hand washing is of the utmost importance in protecting from disease, communicable diseases. So what have you guys been doing during the COVID and any current projects that you're working on?
Yeah, so in the past couple of months, we've launched a couple of mask campaigns. And what I mean by that is we made 200 COVID-19 prevention kits, which included masks and shower curtains so that people can quarantine, as well as hand sanitizer and reusable masks, which is really important. And so we delivered those COVID kits to local hospitals. And from there, those kits went to low-income families in the Bay Area. So that's one of the main focuses currently, and we are going to do more in the coming month. So we are working on spreading throughout California more, as well as moving into other states, because that's really important for us.
Yeah, definitely. The more people that know about this initiative, the better. And you've touched upon obviously doing the seminars for hand washing for youth in rural areas, and also these care packaging kits, and expanding nationwide. But how can other students get involved in actually promoting these projects?
Yeah, so we have an ambassador program, which is basically where high school and college students can join our cause and represent United2Care in their respective communities. So what they would do is like post on Instagram about our current projects. They can launch their projects in coordination with our club or our nonprofit. So there are numerous volunteering opportunities that we are planning to offer soon. So if students would like to get involved with our club, they can go to our Instagram and enter in the form. And you can also launch your own project in coordination with our club so that our cause spreads.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Arul. And as always, the purpose of these podcasts is to get the word of your organization out. So I urge all of our listeners, please hop on to their Instagram, take a check out at all of the projects that they're doing. Their Instagram is at United2Care. Look at it, see if you want to be an ambassador and join the program and really spread the cause for hand sanitization. We're going to end with one last question, Arul. I want you to tell our audience, our youth members, what you've learned from being a social entrepreneur, and any advice you have for aspiring change makers who have a cause that they're really passionate about and want to go about pursuing it.
Yeah, so I've learned a lot about change. And so I never thought I could actually make a change. But through this opportunity, I've learned how to take a cause and really spread it so that a lot of people understand exactly what's going on. And in that way, this club has helped me learn how to help other people and learn how to help other people learn how to do things like these. And my advice would be to, so complaining doesn't help anything. And, posting on Instagram is okay, but I would encourage you to go out and try to find a viable solution to fix the problem that you are very worried about. And you might face some backlash, or maybe a lot of backlash like we did, but there's a lot more people that are out there trying to help you than hold you back. So don't try to, shy away from an opportunity. Go out and do it, and you'll always be successful.
Perfect. I love that. And just kind of adding on that, the one thing that really stuck out to me from your guys' initiative is actually the fact that you started it as a school club. So that really just goes to show that any change just starts internally. It starts at your home, it starts at your school, and then can grow on to being such a powerful nonprofit like United2Care. But once again, thank you so much, Arul, for coming on the podcast and speaking with us today. It was great.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for this opportunity.
Of course. And thank you for working towards creating a safer environment for people. Super important. I'm going to reiterate this. Please wash your hands when you go out, use hand sanitizers, and make sure to stay safe in today's society. I will be posting my email address. It's on our Instagram, but for all of our listeners that want to get in contact with me, my email is aliciagupta2020@gmail.com. Again, check out at What Cause Inspires You at humanity.rising or Humanity Rising on Instagram and Facebook to keep in touch with all of our scholarship opportunities, other podcasts, events, and keynote speakers. We love to hear from all of our youth change makers and see what differences you guys are making in the world. All right, thank you so much, and we hope to see you at next week's podcast.